It's hard to not take inspiration from the galaxy and the hot beverage when it's staring you right in the face. Hey y'all, welcome back to Dots and Beyond. My name is Beth, and today we are setting up January in my son's bullet journal. If you missed his galaxy-inspired setup, I will link it in the cards above as well as the description box below, but we are going to flip through it really quickly so you can see what that looks like. He asked for a galaxy theme to go along with the cover of his journal, and while it was not without its complications, we do love the way that it ended up in the end. And he loved it so much that he's asked me to combine it with another one of his favorite things, and that is coffee. For those of you who watched his 2021 fandom journal setup, the coffee theme may seem familiar. I did one of those for him in October, and he said, "Mom, how do you feel about repeating a theme?" So here we are doing a coffee theme, but I decided that I was going to put a spin on it. And the first spin was going to be that it would be spilled coffee. And then of course I began thinking about other things that I could add into it, and thinking about the Starbucks siren, as my son is a barista. I also thought about mermaids. Now a siren has two tails. I didn't go that deep into this. We're going the traditional mermaid route with one tail. And then to tie in the galaxy theme just a little bit more, all of the spilled coffee will be a spilled galaxy of sorts. So I have started off this cover page with a mermaid sitting in a coffee cup that is going to have spilled coffee galaxy all the way around it. And the other thing that he asked for in this particular setup was shades of purple. And what's more fantastical than a mermaid sitting in a coffee cup with spilled coffee around her than a mermaid sitting in a coffee cup with a coffee fountain around her? Now to get this rich opaque color in the purples for the coffee, I am using 3 different shades of Archer and Olive Acrylographs. They do come out of several different sets, so I will link to the general Archer and Olive page where you can pick up some acrylographs of your own. I am also an affiliate with Archer and Olive, so if you'd like to get 10% off your future order, make sure to use the code DMB10, linked in the description box below, to get that discount. It is also a great way for you to support this channel with no additional cost to you. Once the coffee mermaid fountain thing is in place, I did decide to put a coffee related quote over here on the left side of the page, and that quote reads, "Coffee justifies the very existence of the word aroma." And if, like me, you've often wondered how the siren came to be the mascot of Starbucks, here is a little story for you. The siren is like a super mermaid. A mermaid with one tail is just a plain old mermaid. Sorry, Ariel. But a siren is often depicted with 2 tails. She might seem like an unusual choice for the face of a coffee company, but there's a pretty interesting backstory as to how and why the siren came to be. It was 1971, and the founders had landed on the name Starbucks, inspired by Moby Dick. Next up, creating a logo. While scouring some old marine books, something stood out. A mysterious nautical figure called to them, as sirens do. They really loved the look of it, and it kind of tied into what they felt Starbucks stood for. So we took inspiration from that and created the logo from there, and she became the siren. Here I am touching up the cover page with the header of January, and as you saw, I did add a lot of galaxy shapes to the coffee. I will add it to the fountain pieces as well, and to do that I just used a white gel pen and a silver gel pen. Both of those will be linked down below. Moving on to the next spread, which will be his calendar page for January. And one of the things that I did in his 2021 journal that was a gift to him was give him a lot of different versions of spreads and setups. And what he has decided that works best for him is a full-size calendar that he can write on. So that is what we are going to do here. After I get the January header in, just using an elongated version of my natural cursive, I created a grid calendar for him that is 6 dot grid spaces by 6 dot grid spaces for each square, and I'm coloring in the headers with the same dark purple acrylograph. Now I did make a mistake when I was sketching out the calendar and ended up with an extra line there on Saturday and Sunday, and that's why we keep a white gel pen around just to correct that very quickly. After numbering the calendar, I will jump into creating the artwork on this page, which is a coffee cup that is spilling upwards. And at the top of our upward spill will be perched, of course, a mermaid. Now, I rarely use weekday headers on my calendars anymore because I know my weeks start on a Monday, but again, this journal is not for me, it's for my son, and I wanted to make sure that there was no question as to which day was which. Question of the day, do you have a favorite mermaid story? It is cliche, but I am a huge fan of Disney's The Little Mermaid, though it deviates quite wildly from the original story, which is Danish and written by Hans Christian Andersen. I am also drawn to the mermaids of Harry Potter, who are far more fish-like than human-like. And our little mermaid here on the right is also holding her own cup of coffee, because we all have to have our morning coffee. Now, one of the other things that I will be doing for my son in his journal is touching on phases of the moon from time to time, and January's full moon is a wolf moon, so I am putting in here that a wolf moon is a time for transformation and introspection. And I am going to mark the date of that wolf moon on his calendar with a small silver moon, and then place another larger silver moon next to the wolf moon definition. Now, the silver gel pen I am using to color in these moons is a Uniball Signo silver gel pen. Both the white, gold, and silver are my favorite gel pens of choice from Uniball. I will link those in the description box below. And while of course I have them in my hand, I'm going to go ahead and put in the galaxy here on the purple coffee. In addition to following the moon and the stars, my son has started to explore tarot readings, and that is his deck of tarot cards up in the top left corner. Now, moving on to the next spread. This is going to be a playlist spread for him. If you guys have been around for a little while, you know that I am a huge Spotify user, and I have raised children who love music as much as I do. And so we have a playlist on the left for him to have a playlist for the month of January. For this spread, we have a mermaid lounging in a cup of coffee galaxy with it dripping off of her tail. And then on the right is a shift tracker. Now, I have used this in my work journal previously. This is a new spread for my son, but he has taken on new roles with Starbucks. So this will help him track the hours of the day that he works and whether he is working as a regular partner, whether he is a shift lead that day, whether he is doing a cleaning of the store, and then he can also plot his stress levels on a scale of 1 to 10, which I just put on the hours of 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. to track that shift tracker. And I will try to put a picture in here. If I don't get one, you could always go back and watch my January 2021 work setup or look at my Instagram to see how that tracker has worked for me in the past. And those are color coded to make it a little bit easier. So work is a black line, shift lead is a dark purple line, clean is a light purple line, and then the stress he will track with the magenta color. And again, how that works is on the top line we have the hours from 4 a.m. until 10 p.m. because he can work any shift during that time range. The hours from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. are highlighted, so he can use that as a guide to plot his stress levels on a scale of 1 to 10 each day. And then down the right side are the days of the month along with the days of the week that correspond with those. And that is his simple playlist and shift tracker. It's early in the month and he is still figuring out how to use it, but he has got me on standby to show him how it's done each day. Next up will be the first 2 weeks of January. We had some lengthy discussions about how he wanted to set up his weeklies. He does have extremely tiny writing. I talked about this in the last journal that I set up for him. And he's decided that he can still fit 2 weeks on one spread. So here I've gone ahead and put in the squares. I think these are 8 by 8 squares along with a mini calendar. I went ahead and did include January 1st and 2nd, even though they don't necessarily fall into these 2 weeks, so that he has the entirety of January in one setup. And then here with our mermaid, I have her diving into a pool and sort of teleporting through the galaxy from one side to the other. Now this setup did take me approximately 5 hours, which is a very lengthy period of time. Most of that was spent trying to fully color in the purple areas with a solid color. So if you have used the Archer and Olive Acrylographs and you've had any troubles with them, there are some tips that I have learned. As a very heavy-handed individual, I tend to push down a little harder, and I start to have problems with them when that happens, and I have to remind myself to both A, lighten up, and B, take it a little slow. And then C, you really cannot shake them enough. The minute you start to have trouble with one, just shake, 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 and the issue typically resolves itself. Now, I could not help myself with getting in this little pun on the right that says sea hag, and the definition of that is a mermaid before her coffee. And for the date headers, I am using this Staedler circle template. It is not the prettiest of colors, but I love this tool. It was the very first purchase I made in regard to stencils when I started bullet journaling, and I have been grateful ever since. It is time to get the date headers in place for these weeks, and then we also need to add the galaxy elements to our coffee. Now, to do this, I use several basic shapes. I use a lot of circles of different sizes, a little swirl to indicate a galaxy, a little comet shape, as well as a starburst. And I do that with both the white and the silver gel pen, and it does a really great job of looking like a galaxy. Now, for the 3rd and 4th weeks of January, I used the same 8x8 squares with just different artwork, so we're going to turn the page and look at it really quickly. Here I have the mermaid sitting on a Starbucks cup and spilling some coffee beans that are interlaced with galaxy shapes as well. And then we are moving on to the last spread for his journal this month, and this is going to be his January review page. I will start this one off by drawing a coffee cup as though you are looking at it from the top down, and it will again have a mermaid lounging on it. To make this top-down coffee mug, I just used 2 circles of different sizes, and then on the outside had a small rectangle jutting out to simulate the handle. For the review category headers, I am using a small purple coffee bean followed by the lighter purple for the headers, and we did not discuss the review page in detail before I set this up. In the last journal, I made just very generic ones for him. So for this one, I gave him some categories, and before we move into February, we'll decide if we want to keep using those. Those categories are proud of, working on, learned, gratitude, goal progress, memories, and then media icons for him to track his favorite media. And those icons are a book, a music note for his favorite song of the month, the headphones are for his gaming, the speech bubble is for his favorite podcast, and then of course television and movie. And then I did decide to go ahead and block in these categories. I originally wasn't going to do that, so I came along afterwards and added in the blocks. And of course, we still need the element of the spilled galaxy coffee, so I am sketching in that outline here. For the goal progress in the top right corner, I set this up kind of like a level 10 life where he can grade himself for the month on a scale of 1 to 10 on how he feels like he's doing in each of his goal categories. And those are personal, spiritual, relationships, environment, recreation. He did ask me about that one. I told him it was fun, wellness, financial, and work. And again, across the bottom of that graph, I have a scale of 1 to 10, so he can just fill in where he feels he's at the end of January. And now it is time to color in both the coffee and the mermaid as well as the cup. And I did try out this theme on a small scale using some Tombow markers, and I really just felt like the coffee had to have the richer color of the acrylographs instead of the streaky look that we can sometimes get with a marker. Regular paint was also an option, but after his annual setup, I really didn't want to touch the paints again. And the acrylographs dried definitively faster than regular paints do. Inside the coffee cup, I am putting January Review, again in just that simple elongated version of my natural cursive. And of course, the final step is going to be adding all of those galaxy elements to the purple spilled coffee. While I was getting the galaxy symbols down on the page, it did occur to me that I could sneak in another of his Gemini constellation symbols here, and so I flipped back to the setup to peek really quickly at Gemini so that I could get these dots in here and just freehand a little Gemini into this bottom right corner. And with those final touches in place, we are wrapping up my son's Spilled Coffee Mermaid Fantasy January setup. So let's flip back really quickly and do a full flip through. Now if you have made it this far and watched the entire video, go ahead and leave me a coffee emoji down in the comments below. If this is your first time watching, or if you are not yet subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, trick that YouTube algorithm into telling them that you like my content, and give this a big thumbs up. When I started this channel in December of 2020, I could not have imagined how much joy this bullet journaling community was going to bring me over the course of 2021. I would love to have you join the Dots and Beyond family. For new 2022 content, I still have a goal journal setup coming your way, so stay tuned for that, and then stick around for a couple more videos I think you might enjoy, and I will see you next week.